Why it's so important to truly know yourself before jumping into a relationship. Have you ever looked back at a relationship and thought, was I even ready for that? Like you were just vibing, thinking, we'll figure it out, but what you really needed was to figure yourself out first. That used to be me until I learned my lesson the hard way. This is why I made this video. Hopefully it helps someone. Lovely ladies, you are welcome back to Mom's Secret Playbook, your go-to space for real talk about life, love, and all the lessons we wish someone had told us sooner. Today we're talking about something we do not talk about enough. Why it's so important to truly know yourself before jumping into a relationship. We'll get into whether age actually matters when it comes to readiness, real-life consequences of not knowing who you are, how to know if you're actually ready for love or just craving company. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's have this chat. Before we go deeper, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want more content that gets real about love and life. Okay, let's start with the big question. Why does self-awareness even matter before dating someone? Because if you don't know who you are, you'll let someone else decide for you. You'll shape-shift, you'll shrink, you'll say yes when you mean no, and you'll confuse chemistry for compatibility. Knowing yourself helps you set boundaries, speak up for your needs, and walk away when something isn't right. It's the difference between dating to feel whole versus dating because you're already whole. Now let's address the age thing. People love saying, you're too young to know what love is, or you're in your 30s. Why aren't you married yet? But here's the truth. Age doesn't always equal maturity. I've seen 22-year-olds with emotional intelligence that would put some 40-somethings to shame. And I've met people in their 30s still repeating the same toxic cycles because they haven't stopped to ask themselves, what do I actually want from love? So no, age isn't the main issue. Awareness is. It's not about how long you've lived. It's about how deeply you've looked within. Let me tell you a story about someone I know. She jumped into a relationship fresh out of a breakup. She hadn't even taken time to process what went wrong in the last one. At first, everything felt exciting, like a fresh start, but little things would trigger her. His tone of voice, how he texted, how he handled conflict, and it wasn't because he was toxic, it was because she hadn't healed. Eventually, the relationship ended, not because they weren't compatible, but because she brought in baggage she didn't even know she had. And I say this with love, we've all been that girl at some point. The key is to recognize it and do the work. Let's get honest. If you don't take time to know yourself, here's what might happen. You pick partners based on loneliness, not alignment. You confuse attention for affection. You tolerate disrespect because you don't know your worth. You settle for situationships when you really want commitment. You constantly ask, is it me, when something feels off. And I know this sounds heavy, but hear me. This isn't about guilt. It's about growth. Now let's flip it. Let's talk about signs you might actually be ready. You're clear on what you want and what you will not tolerate. You don't need someone to complete you. You're just looking for a partner to grow with. You can communicate your needs without guilt. You're okay being alone. Not because you hate people, but because your peace matters. You've done some inner work, therapy, journaling, healing, self-reflection, all that good stuff. Being ready isn't about being perfect. It's about being honest with yourself. First off, there's no shame in that. Take the time, date yourself, fall in love with your own life, read books, travel, try new hobbies, go to therapy, hang out with friends, because when you know yourself, you attract better. You set standards from the jump. You won't waste time trying to convince someone to treat you the way you deserve. So, the real question isn't when will I meet someone? It's who will I be when I do? And trust me, the more rooted you are in your own identity, the more magnetic you become, not just to others, but to the kind of love you actually want. So tell me, what's one thing you've learned about yourself that changed the way you date? Drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this convo, don't forget to like the video. Share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Subscribe to Mom's Secret Playbook for more real, relatable content on love, life, and leveling up emotionally. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. See you in the next one.